Okay, so last night I went to go and see The Last Jedi. This video is going to be a discussion about The Last Jedi. So if you haven't seen the movie, I don't want to hear you complaining that I said something that spoiled it for you. This was your warning. Turn the video off if you haven't seen it and you don't want to hear anything about the movie. Right out of the gate, I want to say, J.J. Abrams, brother, you have got to come back and take the driver's seat of the Star Wars franchise. You get it. You understand Star Wars in a way that Rian Johnson does not understand Star Wars. Okay? So I walked out of the film. There were some things about the movie that I liked, and there were some things about the movie that I didn't like. So I was left with a sort of so-so kind of feeling. You can't do that with a Star Wars movie because Star Wars is something special. It always has been. It was the first movie that I went to see when I was 5 years old. Okay? And it blew my mind. It blew everyone's mind. It took the country by storm. It took the world by storm because George Lucas delivered a great story, great storytelling. And there are certain elements about telling a Star Wars story that you have to fully understand and embrace in order to tell a Star Wars story correctly. Rian Johnson either does not fully understand, or maybe he does fully understand, but does not fully embrace the ways in which, those elements in which Star Wars storytelling is done correctly. As an example of that, I'll just give one in this video. Humor in Star Wars. Okay, humor in Star Wars, what has made it compelling is that the humor is innocent. The humor happens organically because it is rooted in the kinds of characters that are involved and the sort of extraordinary circumstances that are happening around them. Okay? The humor in The Last Jedi is, in my opinion, heavy handed. It is not innocent, it is self aware. As an example of that, there's a scene where they roll through a room and there's these sort of intimidating, evil looking robots. And as the camera pans back, what you realize is that these first order, evil looking, menacing robots are the laundry robots. They're ironing the clothing of the First Order. So there were times when I was watching The Last Jedi and I felt like I was watching a parody of a Star Wars movie because it was self-aware of itself. You know what I'm saying? It was when you have humor in the Star Wars films, it's because Han Solo is a sarcastic character. He's going to come off with something like that. It's because um, it's because they're doing something that's extraordinary. They're, um, about to be crushed in a trash compactor, or because Finn has run across the desert and he's desperately thirsty and finds himself next to some alien hippopotamus, and he's so, you know what I mean? The acting is genuine, the characters are genuine, and they are innocent. They're just the humor happens organically because of the circumstances and because of the people involved, not because you were dragged kicking and screaming in front of a gag and said, now you've got to laugh. Like for example, Spaceballs was a parody movie of Star Wars, and it was funny because everyone knew going in, this is a parody, we're going to be poking fun at some stuff here. But you don't introduce that into the Star Wars genre and still get something that feels like Star Wars. Because Star Wars, one of the components, again, this is just an example of one, but Star Wars is innocent. And I think that's one of the things that that makes good Star Wars storytelling is that it is innocent. And when that innocence is taken away and replaced with self-awareness, it changes the tone of the humor, it changes a lot of things. And so for that reason, I did not appreciate what Rian Johnson was doing. So I do have, I've thought a lot about the film. I have some other things that I want to say. I'm not going to be able to squeeze them into one video. But I just wanted to share that thought, and that is that um, I really hope that we put J.J. Abrams back in the driver's seat on this. I believe that he gets it, and he embraces it, and he knows how to tell a compelling Star Wars story. We all want um, Star Wars stories to continue and to continue sharing them and enjoying them. And so, for whatever the C3PO would know what the odds are of some CEO from Disney or from Lucasfilm stumbling across this little dark corner of the internet. If you do, let this be a confirmation to you as the decision makers here that you cannot take any successful director and plug and play him into the Star Wars genre and get a good Star Wars story, because it's not about how successful any given director is or how good he is at storytelling. It's that Star Wars, there are certain elements that must be understood and embraced. Not everybody gets that. Anyway, looking forward to discussing some of the other things that happen in The Last Jedi with some of the characters that we know and love and care about, some of the questions that remain, and my thoughts on what the future holds.